come on, bro. You're not skipping GTA 6. And you other game companies that you just don't have that kind of reputation to try and pull off $100, $80, $100. Most of you don't. I'm going to pay £60 for this game, and the license is going to expire tomorrow. Okay, cool. Your license expires tomorrow. How long do I have to play? How long do I have to be able to access this game before it comes to the server? That's another thing that should be made clear as well. When the license expires and when it gets removed from the servers, and they know that you no longer have access to it at all. But I mean, at the end of the day, piracy is still let's keep it. It's still. I mean, I have my thoughts on piracy, and I'm not totally against it, depending on the situations and the circumstances of why it's being done. But yeah, if you're doing it for this reason, it's. And here we go. We are back once again with another episode of the uncivilisedArt podcast. I'm your host, Bumi Hazan, but I go by Bandit Hayes in the online space. And today, I'm on my own. I am on my Jack Jones. Unfortunately, Lady Celeste Orchid could not join us today. She's feeling a little bit under the weather. So let's all wish her well. Wish her a very speedy and healthy recovery. Hashtag get well Cell. The hashtag get well Cell. Hopefully she'll be back on the next episode to give her thoughts and opinions on a few things that have been happening in the geek world as of late. And there's been some big things been happening in the geek world as of late, which I'll be talking about myself. But hopefully we'll still get her views on some of those things as well as some other things she's been up to in the time between then and now, or I guess her last episode appearance and the next one. But yeah, she is not joining us today, so it is just me. And kind of weird, kind of weird. I mean, it's not the first time I've done an episode on my own. I think it was the first maybe 2 or 3 episodes I ever did with this was just me on my Jack Jones, just me on my ones. So it's not the first time I've been on my own, but it's been a long time. So, hopefully I could keep you all interested. I still want to do this as a, one take type thing, so not editing bits out. So it's just me and my thoughts, stream of consciousness. Well, hopefully not too much. I do have some notes of things that I want to say, so I am, I can prepare a little bit. But yeah, so I do want to be talking about some newses as well as some things I've been up to. So, I do want to talk about Grand Theft Auto 6, and the price of Grand Theft Auto 6, as well as the fact that it is not getting a physical release, or more specifically, no actual game disc in the physical release. Let me turn this down. That's my phone going off. So don't be disturbed too much. I don't think you could hear it, by the way. Speaking of hearing things real quick, if you could hear a fan noise in the background, it's because I have a fan on the background. It's pretty hot right now, so I need a fan on in the background. So hopefully you can't hear it. But if you can, then my apologies. But if you can hear it, should be really faint. But anyway, so yeah, I want to talk about Grand Theft Auto 6 and the price of Grand Theft Auto 6 and the fact that it's not coming with a physical game in the physical edition. It's just going to be a game code. And I want to talk about maybe the one news that dwarfed that, like the one news that managed to actually dwarf Grand Theft Auto 6, which is Sony not doing physical editions as of 2028, January 28, 2028, excuse me. They would no longer be doing physical copies of their games and just go into a digital distribution platform only. So I want to talk about that because, yeah, literally the one thing, Grand Theft Auto 6 has been such big news for such a long time. This is the one thing that actually dwarfed that news. It was so big that even when Microsoft laid off a bunch of people still talking about, PlayStation. Like Microsoft laid off another 3,000 people. It's like, okay, yeah, they do that every week or every month or whatever. So, all right, whatever. So we'll talk about that in coming up. But before all that, I want to talk about Supergirl. So, I went to see Supergirl. I guess it'd be about a week ago now, maybe yeah, about a week ago, a little over a week. And I will talk about that. I it's interesting for me because I think I went in wanting to like this film, right? And I very rarely do that. I mean, I mostly go to movies trying to have as little expectations as possible. And there's certain films, of course, you're going to be more excited to see than others. It's just kind of how it is, right? But you generally go in, or at least I generally go in, trying to have just as little expectations as possible. But this one, again, I didn't necessarily have expectations, so to speak, but I did feel like I was going in wanting to like it. I really enjoyed what they did with Superman last year. I thought that was excellent. I liked the take on Superman that they delivered and everything around there and what they did with the movie and the depths that it went to and everything they did with that. And of course, this is a different movie. They don't have to do those same things. I ain't saying that. But I think because of that, I was like, yeah, I really want to like this movie. And I went in and it wasn't so much I didn't like it. I did, but at the same time, it also felt like, hmm, I mean, I guess in the end, it was fine. It was a fine. It felt kind of like a filler episode. You know what I mean? Like if you're watching a TV show, at least maybe not so much these days because everything's like 10 episodes, whatever. But back in the olden days where you had like 20 plus episodes per season, you'll get what we called filler episodes, which were episodes that didn't really advance the story of the season all that much, or at least not in any particular way. But they had to fill 20 plus episodes, so they had to do something. So they had like a filler episode where I don't know, like the main character's dreaming or something. You know what I mean? Something like that. And they weren't bad. They're not bad. Like they weren't boring or well, not necessarily, but fundamentally it's filler. And that's what this felt like. And I don't think it is filler. I think it is going to play a part in the main story. At least it seems that way. But it felt like that, is what I'm trying to say. It felt like that. In fact, I heard an opinion. I heard somebody's opinion on this where they said it was an aggressively okay movie. And I think I agree with that. It is aggressively okay. Like, it's not a terrible film by any stretch. It's not a masterpiece by any stretch at all. It's fine. It's fine. I think in terms of like action, it's got some cool action scenes. The story is pretty cool. It felt like it has the bones of something really in depth, and perhaps I mean it's based on a comic book which I've not read, and I understand they've made some changes which me personally I'm not worried about. Like, one, I've never read the comic anyway. Two, generally changes don't bother me that much. As long as it's still a good story and all that. That's all I care about. So I know they made some changes from the comics. But apparently the comic that's based on Woman of Tomorrow is, really in depth and really like kind of thought provoking. And it kind of felt like it had the bones of something that's really in depth and really thought provoking. But in the end, it was just fine. It was fine. Like the villain was there, you know, there. And, you understand what the villain is doing and why they're doing it. That's all explained and everything. But it was just there, you know. So yeah, it was fine. It was fine. I mean, if I think there's people, if you're gonna go see it, they're probably gonna see it anyway. And of course, anything you do, watch a movie, you may have to wake up your own mind about it anyway. But I think there's lots of people just gonna go see it. And plus, the film came out, I guess, a little while ago. By the time I'm recording this, so I'm not trying to influence anybody's decision to go see it or not. Too late for that. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, I wouldn't say give it a miss. I think if you are looking forward to what they do with the new DCEU, um, then it's probably worth watching for that reason. If you're not overly interested in superhero movies or things like that, then I don't know. It's probably one you could wait till it's on one of these streaming services or whatever, Amazon or whoever takes it, like, you know what I mean? It's it's just a okay movie in the end. It's fine. It's not terrible. It's not brilliant. It's not bad. It's not good. It's fine. I mean, I thought I was okay with it in the end. Like I didn't hate it. Like I said, I guess I liked it more than I didn't. But in the yeah, it's just it's fine. It's fine. Anyway, so there's that. Also, speaking of let me stay hydrated. Speaking of stuff I've been doing, before I get into some of the other main topics, let me talk real quick about a game that I started playing recently called Stranglehold. So Stranglehold came out in 2007, and I got it recently through GOG, Good Old Games. Downloaded it. It was on sale for like £4 something, like 50% off. So it was a pretty good deal. It's kind of interesting because I had this thought to just play Stranglehold. Like I remember the game came out. I remember when it came out. I remember hearing about it. I remember being interested in playing it, but for whatever reason, I don't remember why. But I just never got round to playing it back when it came out. And it's a shame because it was definitely right up my alley, especially back then, because you got to understand that Stranglehold is basically Hard Boiled 2, right? And if you don't know Hard Boiled was an action movie by John Woo, 1990 something, or I might have to double check the year on that. But it was directed by John Woo and starring Chow Yun Fat, and it was the greatest action movie of all time, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be plenty of people that disagree with me on that, but as far as I'm concerned, it's the greatest action movie of all time. You got to understand that when I saw that movie, that was the movie that let me know that I like movies more than most people like movies. So yeah, I owe a lot to that film. So by the time Stranglehold came out, and it was basically a sequel to that, or maybe not like a sequel in terms of continuous story, but a sequel in terms of, I guess, spiritual sequel of sorts. I mean, it's the same characters and things like that, the same kind of action and settings and stuff, but it's not necessarily a continuation of what they did with story wise, what they did with the movie. It's just kind of its own thing that way, but still a sequel of sorts. Anyway, yeah, right up my alley, right up the type of things that I was interested in, and just the fact that it was based on it was coming from that movie. I was interested, but for whatever reason, I didn't play it back then. And of course, years go by, end up forgetting about it until like last week. I'm like, Stranglehold pops up in my head. So I'm like, all right, let me look this up. I was looking it up to see if it's on PlayStation, PlayStation 3 or what, and things like that. And you could get it up there. There's places still selling on PlayStation 3. But then I found it, to download on GOG. So I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, let me just get it for £4. And yes, I downloaded it. Digital copy. I know I'm part of the problem. But yeah, so I've been playing that, and it is really cool. It is really cool. I'm not far into it at the moment. I've done I think the first two levels, or maybe towards the end of the second level. And it's just really cool action. It's definitely a bit finicky with the controls. I don't know if that's just the PC version. If anybody's played the console version, you can let me know. But it does definitely feel a bit finicky with the controls, with the way you move, and there's no real way you can adjust the sensitivity of the mouse, which I assume is deliberate because of the whole tequila time thing and stuff like that. So yeah, but definitely can be a bit finicky with the controls, can be a little bit awkward with the controls. But it's still really cool. Once you get into it, once you kind of get used to it a little bit, it's a cool game. Definitely has its annoyances with the jumping as well. But overall, so far I'm enjoying it way more than the little annoyances that it has that I've had with it. But it's just mad that it's taken me this long to get to a game that is based on a movie that let me know that I like movies. You know what I mean? That's mad. That's a mad thing. But anyway, I'm playing it now, so better late than never. All right, so let me talk a little bit about GTA now. So GTA, the price of GTA was announced at $80 for the standard version, and $100 for the ultimate edition of the game. You could pre-order it through various platforms, but if you go to the shop and you want to get it a physical copy, I guess they'll send you a box with a code inside. It might come with other stuff. I don't believe they've announced if it's going to come with like a map or any other kind of bits as well, bits and pieces, or collectibles and stuff like that. I'd assume it would, but I'm assuming that just based on what previous GTA games have come with. But I don't believe they've made any official announcement of what it is in the box. If you get the physical version, so far all we know is that there is a code for the game in the box. So if you like collecting stuff, you can collect a box. That's how that works. But yeah, it's definitely on the higher end of games. But in all honesty, I'm okay with that price. Don't believe this is going to set a trend. I know some people have said this. They feel like $100 or this kind of prices could set a trend for to the gaming world where other people might try and charge that kind of price for a game, and I don't think it would. In my view, I don't think it would. I think there's maybe a few game franchises. Let me talk properly. I think there's maybe in fact, let me take a sip of water. Mouth getting dry. I think there's maybe a few game franchises that could potentially charge $80 or $100 for Ultimate Editions, maybe even more than that for certain editions. But I don't believe this is going to set a trend. For one thing, I mean, if you look at game companies who put out the same game every year with like minor tweaks, yeah, they've got their hardcore fans, but they ain't paying this kind of price for it. You'd have to include a lot to, like, for example, if they're going to do like $100 special edition, I think they'd have to include a lot to make it, viable at $100. But other than that, I don't see this being a trend. I think the price of game is likely to go up. In fact, it has gone up not too long ago to sort of the $70 mark. So yeah, I think it could potentially see some increases in some areas when it comes to like certain companies who are doing like big budget, long development, all that sort of stuff when it comes to their game, potentially. But as an overall thing, I doubt it. I could be wrong, but I doubt it. But I think for GTA 6, I'm okay with it. In all honesty, I thought rather, and I think a lot of people thought this as well, that $100 was going to be like the standard version. When the rumors came around, like how it could be worth it could be going for $100. I think a lot of us are thinking that could just be the standard version, and any other versions could be more than that. So it's actually cheaper than a lot of us thought it was going to be, which is some kind of saving grace, right? It's something, but yeah, it's still on the pricey end. But yeah, I think for GTA 6, I'm okay with it. That being said, I wouldn't be getting it, or unlikely to be getting it on day one, because I don't have a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. So I'd have to wait for their PC release and see what they do then. See if it's still $100 or was it £90 in UK money by then. But I've got my money saved. I ain't gonna lie. I've been like, the moment I heard it could potentially be an expensive game, I was like, yeah, let me start putting some money aside. So I've had my money saved for GTA 6. So yeah, once I'm able to, inshallah, man's gonna be doing that. You know what I mean? Man's gonna be doing that. So I'm okay with it. I just gotta wait for the PC announcement. Either that, or I better save more money and get a PS5. Because there's no official PC announcement as of yet. Where I guess we're assuming it's gonna come to the PC, because why not? All the other games have at some point, like maybe a year or whatever later. So maybe that's the same kind of time frame, maybe a little bit longer. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, no official PC announcements is let. But hopefully it does come to the PC, and hopefully in good time. And yeah, I got my money ready. I got my money ready. But I think a game like GTA 6, I know there's a lot of people been grumbling about it. I know there's a lot of people saying, no, it's just too much, I'm going to buy it. But I think in reality, honestly, I think a lot of people who say they're not going to buy it, I could all but guarantee that a lot of those guys are going to be day one purchases. Either day one or certainly week one. If not day one, then week one. Because I get it. It's a higher price. Nobody wants to pay that much money for a game. I get it. But come on, it's GTA 6. Like, let's keep it all the way real. We're talking about GTA 6. We're not talking about, I don't know, like whatever, 2K. You know what I mean? Like we're talking about GTA 6. Like, we're not talking about, I don't know, like whatever, you know, Assassin's Creed. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about GTA 6. Come on. Let's keep it real. I'm not even trying to disrespect those games, but we just got to keep it real. We're talking about GTA 6 here. we're talking about GTA 6. So yeah, I think there's going to be people who might try to do that kind of price of like $80, $100, maybe even more. Like I said, if it comes with a whole bunch of items and stuff like that to try and justify it. And there might be people who go for it if they do feel it's worth it. But I don't think, in my opinion, other, or at least many other game franchises can pull off that kind of a price tag for their games. But we'll see. I think there'll be people who try it, and I think there'll be people who fail miserably at trying it. But yeah, GTA. Let's keep it real. We're not skipping GTA. We're not. Let's keep it all the way real. We can grumble on the internet. We can moan and this is too much. Blah 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 blah. But let's keep it 100. Literally $100. Like, let's keep it 100. We are not skipping GTA 6 for the price tag. They gave us plenty of warnings, all them rumors coming around about $100, da-da-da. We had plenty, all the delays, you just had time to save your money. In fact, you still got time to save your money because it's not out till November? So it's still months ahead. You got plenty of time to save your money. We're not skipping GTA 6. You can grumble, you can moan, but you're not skipping it. Let's keep it a buck. You are not skipping it. Unless, of course, you're like me, you don't have a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, and you're going to wait for the PC release. But other than that, and even then, you're not skipping it. You're just waiting for the PC release. But yeah, let's keep it real. You're not skipping it. That game is going to do massive numbers on its release. If not day one, week one, month one, it's doing massive numbers. That much you can all but guarantee it's doing massive numbers. But you other game companies, like if you want to be selling your games at that kind of price tag, then you just need to step it up. You need to step it up because like I don't see that as a thing just because you spent a lot of money on your game or just because you spent a long time on your game. I get it. And I'm not trying to, because at the end of the day, people need to eat. Let's keep it real. Everybody needs to pay their bills and eat food and do all those things. So I get it. But at the same time, you the reputation that Rockstar has through Red Dead Redemption and GTA specifically, and they've other games as well, but those are two massive big games of theirs. The reputation that they have, for delivering quality beyond quality. I mean, the fact that people are still playing GTA 5, 13 something years later. You know what I mean? People still playing Red Dead Redemption 2, whatever many years later. Like, come on, bro. You're not skipping GTA 6. And you other game companies that you just don't have that kind of reputation to try and pull off $100, $80, $100. Most of you don't. So I'm sure there'll be people who try it, but I think there could be a lot of people who fail it. Because there's very few people who have justified through their reputation to pull off an $80 to $100 or even potentially more. Like I said, a lot of us thought that $100 was going to be the minimum, but there's very few people who can pull that off. Rockstar is one of them. They've earned it. They have more than earned it. Let's keep it real. They have more than earned it. So yeah, GTA 6, you're not skipping it. You can grumble. No, like I said, I don't want to pay $100. I don't want to pay anything. If I could get a game free, bruh, I paid £4 for Stranglehold. Come on, it was on sale. Come on. So yeah, I get it. Like, and then there's money to us. It's still money, but let's be honest. You're not skipping it. You're not skipping it. All right. Even with the fact that they're not doing an actual physical copy, you're not skipping it. Let's keep it real. You're not skipping it. But speaking of no physical copies, let's talk about the massive news. So Sony have been on I don't know. Sony just been giving out bad news lately. Like they've like bad news in threes. I think I counted 3 sets of bad news from Sony in the past week or two or something like that. Like 3 sets of bad news. So let's back up a little bit because. So Studio Canal, I guess their license expired a while ago, but you were still able to download the movies that you'd bought through, if you bought a Studio Canal movie through Sony, but it wasn't on your hard drive, you can download it. But then just recently, it's like, yeah, you can't do that no more. So, movies that you have purchased, if you don't already have it on your hard drive, then actually no, not even that. If you would just lose access to it, that was it. Yeah, sorry, I mixed myself up a little bit. You just lose access to it. So you still had access to it for up until I guess recently. Um, but yeah, you are now just losing access to it. Like if you, it doesn't matter that you bought it, you will lose access to your movies, right? Which absolutely sucks. Absolutely sucks because when you buy something, you should have it for as long as you are able to, keep it running or keep hold of it or whatever. But in this case, nope. Now, I have a few opinions on that, and some of my opinions contradict other opinions. I'm going to say that now. Some of the opinions I have on this contradict some of the other opinions on that. But let me go through the rest of the stuff first because it all kind of ties in. So that was the Studio Canal news. The next set of bad news was that the PlayStation Vita and the PlayStation 3 PSN stores are going away next year. Next year I think it was July 2027, I believe. So right now you can still use the store, but as of next year you will not be. Now they did say that you will keep access to any games that you've bought for the foreseeable future. That's what it said in the email. How long that's going to be, we don't know. But considering what just happened with Studio Canal, it's like, ugh. And you know what? I like the PS3. I still got my PS3. I do have physical games on the PS3. I think most of my games are physical on the PS3, so should still be able to play those, right? Unless you're gonna do some mad code or something. But should still be able to play those. But I do have a decent amount of digital games I got through PS3 as well. I remember back in the PS3 days when they did the PlayStation Plus service, and back then you were able to. Every month they gave you a free game, and they gave away some really good games like Red Dead Redemption. The second technically Red Dead game, but the first Red Dead Redemption game was one of them. I don't remember what else was there. I think now I've forgotten by now. I remember that was one of them, but yeah, there was quite a few games that I got through that. I think it was a zombie game, Dead Nation. That I got through that as well. But there's bare games they'll just give out, some really good games every month. Weren't just some crappy games that nobody ever heard of. Like, to be fair, just because nobody ever heard don't mean it's crap. I know it can still be good, but I'm just saying, like, there were a lot of the games they gave away for free were games that were, either in the AAA category or if they were indie games or more high-end indie games. So they were giving away some quality games for free every month during that time, and I got a lot through that. So I have access to them for now. And for the foreseeable future, but at some point, who knows, right? Who knows? Now the other news, and I guess the biggest news, speaking of physical media, or digital downloads, is that as of 2028, January 2028, Sony is stopping all physical media productions and will be digital distribution only from then on. And it's possible that Microsoft would be doing something similar with their next console. And I guess wait to be seeing what Nintendo do as well. Here's the thing. Now, there's been a lot said about this already, I know, and I've had a lot of thoughts on this myself, I know. And like I said, some of my thoughts contradicts other of my thoughts. But where I sit on this, in particular with the PlayStation stopping physical production, I'm not surprised that they're doing it. I'm more surprised that it didn't happen sooner because there's clearly been a trend towards pushing towards digital only. And Microsoft in particular have been pushing hard towards digital only. So I'm more surprised they didn't announce something like this sooner. That's the surprise to me, that it didn't happen sooner and Microsoft didn't say it first. Like, that's a surprise to me. Not that it's happening, that it just didn't happen sooner. That being said, I mean, I think it's fair to say I've been digital only pretty much exclusively for a long time now, mainly because I do play games on PC, by now most PC games are digital distribution. I think possibly some do get physical releases. Um, I'm not always checking for them, to be honest, but if they're there, then they're there. Maybe some of the more niche games might do that, or some of the bigger games might do like a special edition, I guess, or things like that. But by and large, if you're a PC gamer, you've probably been digital exclusive, or at least mostly near enough to digital exclusive for a good while now through Steam or GOG and other platforms as well. Um, and even though that's PC, like I said, it's kind of part of the problem because I'm sure it's still part of the data that Sony look at when they're making a decision like this. They're looking at their own data. They're looking at other platforms, what's going on there. They're looking at all kinds of things across the board and then making a decision like this. So yeah, maybe a small part of the problem, but still a part of the problem. That being said, digital distribution is handled way differently on PC than it is on console. So like I say, small part, small part. um, so yeah, not surprised that it's happened. Just surprised it didn't happen sooner. And for myself, I don't think it's something that's going to affect me in any great way personally, because I've never been big into collecting games that much. I did for a while ago, but not in any real way. I did collect DVDs at one time, but that kind of fell by the wayside a little ages ago, and I haven't really bothered too much with collecting. I do still buy DVDs and Blu-rays, and I do physical media in general. I do still vinyls in particular when it comes to music. I like to try and get vinyls if I can. So I do still buy physical media. I do still like physical media, and truth be told, not even truth be told, but just fact is, I actually prefer physical media. But a lot of that is more for the nostalgia factor of it, because I can remember going to like HMV and browsing through DVDs or CDs and stuff like that. It was a really cool thing to do that you just don't get to do anymore. At least, I mean, you can still do that, but not in the same way as before, right? And with this going away, at least with Sony, and kind of been gone away with PCs for a good while, it's not really in that same vein. You can still go to shops, of course, that sell physical stuff. You can still do that, but like I say, it's not quite the same as it. It's not a thing anymore. Now it's more of a like something that you do maybe once in a while because you just want to get maybe some cool vinyl. But back then it was a regular thing. You know what I mean? It was part of the culture back then, right? And now it's more like just something you do out of a memory type thing. So it's not quite the same. It's still cool, but not quite the same. But yeah, for me, even though I do prefer physical media, like I say, I'm mostly digital for a lot of reasons. It's kind of a convenience to me. So this change, um, personally doesn't affect me. But yeah, let me not. My phone's going off. Let me not distract myself. um, but yeah, I do still like physical media, and it is still sad to see it go. You know, um, or potentially going. It's not only Sony so far. Like I said, we don't know about the other platforms, but potentially going. Certainly on a big side of it, Sony makes up a pretty big part of the gaming community. So it's a big part of that. And even if it is just Sony, we'll see what Microsoft and Nintendo do and things like that. But even if it is just Sony in the end, it's still sad to see that sort of thing go. So I don't like that they're doing it. I'm not surprised that they're doing it. It's not going to affect me in any great way, but I'm still sad to see it go, because physical media ultimately is as much as the conveniences of there are when it comes to buying things through digital distribution. There's a lot of conveniences that come with it. In particular, if you're a PC gamer, maybe not so much if you're a console gamer. Maybe they still count as well. You don't have to go to the shop. I get there's still conveniences with it. But even with that, in my opinion, physical media is superior. Like, not that long ago, I was playing Killzone 3 on the PS3, and I have that on disc. And I was able to just like throw it in and play it. Granted, I had to do an update first, so I don't know. Maybe oof. Maybe physical media. I mean, how long are these updates gonna last? Right? I don't know. how long these? Because I couldn't play it without the update, so it's like, oh, I'm just kind of thinking now, how long has physical media got left? So maybe you have to go back to like the bloody PlayStation days, and Xbox and before that, Nintendo 64 days. There weren't no updates, so you just got the game and you played it, and you never had to update it after that. So maybe we need to go back to those days, or maybe it was a PS2 era. I think, yeah, I don't think you got updates with PS2 either, or Xbox 360. I don't think. Maybe even Xbox One. Actually, no, Xbox One. I think they did updates. Some games had to be updated, but anyway, whatever era it was that you didn't have to update your games every so often, we might need to go back to that and before. But yeah, like how long's that got left? But anyway, the fact that you're still able to like just put it in and play it, is a cool thing. Like, and especially what happened with Studio Canal, the question of, okay, if I buy a game digitally, how long do I have to play it? Like, are you going to lose your license next week? Right? Are you going to lose your license, 10 years from? We don't know, right? Because we're not told these things. Certainly not initially. And I think perhaps we should be. I think that's the thing that needs to happen if we're moving into an all digital future. Um, because I think for collectors, people who like to collect stuff, and maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I feel like you can still do that. It just won't be the same in terms of, okay, Rockstar, GCA is coming out physical edition, right? But there's no actual game in it. But you're still getting something. You're still getting a box, possibly a map and some other cool things in there. So there's still things you can collect that are related to the game itself, but just the game itself won't be in the box. So you can still collect stuff. But just not in the same way. And perhaps that's the future of game collecting, is that it's more the box rather than the game. But it still collects in just a slight shift. So if that's the case, then yeah, it might not affect collectors in any great way, or at least not in. You can still collect, but just not the game. So it affects them, but not that way. But yeah, if you're a collector, let me know. I'm not a collector not like I say, I used to collect stuff, but not really, not for a long time. So perhaps there's nuances that I'm not understanding. But to my mind, it feels like you can still potentially collect things, just not the thing. It's just not the thing. Um, but yeah, assuming it's fine with collectors, if you're okay with a box, and of course, assuming they actually produce physical boxes, um, that could be something. But the issue then remains: how long do you have to play the game? And I think what needs to happen now is we need more transparency with these things. If I'm buying a game, because we're using the term buy, not lease, right? Because effectively what it is, it's lease. We're using the term buy. So if I'm buying a game, I want to know, how long do I have? I think things like license expiration dates should be made clear from the beginning. It should be there on the store page. The license that we hold for this game expires, you know, I don't know, May 15th, 2029 or whatever it is, 2052, however long the license lasts for. But you want to know that, okay, so if I pay, £60 or whatever for this game, I have 50 years to play it. I'm okay with £60 for 50 years. That you can make that kind of informed decision, right? Or if it's a case where actually the license we have for this game expires tomorrow, are you still selling it for? Are you still trying to sell it for £60? Like, I'm gonna pay £60 for this game, and the license is gonna expire tomorrow. Okay, cool. Your license expires tomorrow. How long do I have to play? How long do I have to be able to access this game before it comes on your server? That's another thing that should be made clear as well. When the license expires and when it gets removed from the servers, and they know that you no longer have access to it at all. I feel like that's the type of thing that people need to know now more so than ever if we are moving into a digital only future. Because right now it's a guess. It's a guess. People who bought those movies thinking they're gonna have it for however long, and it's like, nope, nope, nope. And same things happen with games, right? In fact, it's happened with me with excuse me, with sorry, something in my mouth. That's not my tongue or my teeth. um, what was it? Cobra Kai. I bought Cobra Kai through YouTube Red back when YouTube Red was a thing, and then just gone. You know, just gone. No warning. It's just gone. I don't know where. I don't know. It's just access. I can't. Nothing. They're gone. Gone. Like I don't know where it's gone, but it's. I don't have it. And the funny thing is, it's like I still have some content on Google or well, it's all on YouTube now, but I still have some movie content there that's just stayed there. I've watched the movies or whatever, but it's just kind of stayed there. So it's not like there wasn't a place they can put it for people who had already paid. It's just gone. I paid the money and it's gone because it's back before uh, Netflix took over Cobra Kai, back before YouTube Premium became YouTube Red became YouTube Premium. Before that was available in the UK, the only way I can get um access to Cobra Kai was to buy the individual episodes, which is what I did. And now it's gone. And you might say, well, you could watch it on Netflix. Well, yeah, I can, but I paid for it there, and I don't have access to it there. It's just gone. Now, maybe that's not the worst example because, again, I still have some access to it, but I have the access to it because I pay for Netflix. If I stop paying for Netflix, it's gone. I already bought these things and I don't have them anymore. So I'm just saying, these things need to be made clear. How long is your license for? And from when it expires, how long do I have to be able to access it before it goes away? Then I can make an informed decision. And I really also feel like there should be some kind of regulatory thing that says if something expires or if something happens that causes the expiration of a license before it was supposed to, like a company gets bought out or a company goes out of business or something like that, and then and anything that results in that person or people who have bought products from them no longer having access to, then part of that settlement or part of whether that closing down or buying out or whatever it is needs to be refunds to the customer who bought that. Absolutely needs to be. And I think there needs to be some kind of legislation that says, look, if you told them that your license expires in 10 years, but this happened and now they don't have access, you need to give them a refund because that is not okay. It is not okay. Because how it is now, it is so unfair to the consumer. And speaking of licenses, by the way, because we talked about physical media as well, and well, a lot of people talk about physical media about how you can, you just buy it and you just own it, which is true. As long as you have to update, it's kind of true. But the fact is that licensing thing has always been there. It's always been the case where where you bought something, you were just buying a license for it. That's always been the case from CDs, from tapes, or whatever. It's always been the case. Of course, back when we were doing CDs and tapes and physical games, you can lend it to your friend and no one's gonna come arrest you because it's like whatever. And I'm sure all these companies, they knew people doing that, but it wasn't something you could enforce so easily. So it's not that you were allowed to do it. It was just, well, technically you were when Sony said, "This is how you lend games." That's maybe the only time you were allowed to do it. Other than that, you weren't actually allowed to be lending your games or your movies or your things like that to your friends. Like it says it on the box, no unauthorized reproduction, hiring, lending. It was all on the box. So you never had the rights to do that. But it's just it was a hard thing to actually enforce. So people did it and nobody got arrested. Well, maybe somebody did. I don't know. Let me know if you know somebody who actually got arrested for lending their friend a DVD. It's probably happened somewhere in the world, I'm sure, but let me know if you know. But generally, nobody got in trouble for it because it was kind of a thing you can do and there was no way of enforcing it. But now with digital distribution, there's plenty of ways of enforcing the fact that you can't lend your stuff to your friends, and that's the biggest difference. That it could be enforced so much, and then as what's been shown is that it could be enforced in a way where you could literally have stuff that you've bought taken away from you with little to no notice in some circumstances, and that is so unfair. So yeah, if we're moving it into a digital only future, then I say fine, but we need safeguards in place. We need regulations in place. We need much more transparency about when these licenses are supposed to expire. How long do I actually have to play this game that I'm paying however much money for it? Because if you're going to try and charge me £60 for a game that I might only have a year with, I might feel some kind of way about that. You know what I mean? I might feel some kind of way about it. I might be like, you know what, I'm not sure I want to pay £60 for a game that I can only play for the next year. Like I might feel some kind of way about it. But if you're gonna reduce the price and say, yeah, look, you're not gonna have this, we're not gonna have access to this game in a year, so we're just gonna let you have it for like £2.50, then I might be like, all right, all right. But I know, and that's the thing. People need to know what they're buying, what the terms are of the thing that they're buying, and how long these licenses are for. Because previously we didn't know. Previously it felt like it didn't matter. Turns out it does. We need to know these things. So yeah, more transparency is what I think needs to happen if this is the case. Um, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this whole thing plays out. I know there's a lot of people saying they're going to, swear off digital games if once this move takes place. I have the feeling that a lot of those people are still going to buy games, especially bigger games. I mean, no, you're not skipping Grand Theft Auto 6 for sure. Let's be clear on that. You're not skipping that one. And any other big game that comes out after January 2028 that you're really looking forward to, you're not skipping it. You're not. So I feel like there's certain games that are going to survive this. Other games, I think, yeah, people might feel some kind of way about it, especially at the price tags, and especially to the whole not knowing of how long these things are going to last for. And let's be honest, the game industry, tech industry is so volatile. People getting fired for this, studios getting closed down for that. It's so volatile. So you really need to know how long do you actually have to play this. And if they cannot honor the time in which you're supposed to have to play it, then refunds need to be given. And refunds need to be given. So yeah, I'm kind of repeat myself a little bit. I know this is what happens when you don't have a co-host. It's just me rambling and repeat myself. But yeah, I feel if it's gonna happen, we're gonna move this feature, then I feel regulation and much more transparency in place. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that. Oh, but actually, you know what? I will say this one last thing, because I've seen this going around. People saying if if buying isn't owning, then piracy isn't stealing, and I get it. I get it. Like we all feel like this is a bad deal for us because it is. Let's keep it real. It's a bad deal for the consumer. Absolutely. But I mean, at the end of the day, piracy is still stealing. Let's keep it a buck. It's still stealing. I mean, I have my thoughts on piracy, and I'm not totally against it, depending on the situations and the circumstances and why it's being done. But yeah, if you're doing it for this reason, it is still stealing. Let's keep it real. I ain't telling you not to do it. That's up to you what you do. I'm not that guy who's going, you must not then. It's up to you what you do, but just call it what it is. That's what I'm saying. Call it what it is. Let's call it what it is. If you're gonna do it, do it. That's your business. But call it what it is. Um, but anyway, yeah, those are my thoughts on this whole thing. And hopefully we can get Lady Celeste Orchid's thoughts on these things on the next episode. So yeah, get well sell, hashtag get well sell, hashtag get well sell. um but yeah, that's gonna be all for me. So yeah, I just rambled for nearly 50 minutes. Hopefully I kept your attention, and if I did, thank you for watching and or listening. If I didn't keep your attention, hopefully you got something out of this before you before you tapped out. But either way, thank you for the time you spent with me, whether it's a little bit or a lot of bits. I appreciate it. But that's going to be it for this episode. So guys, until whenever, if ever, peace.